Could you just give us your thoughts on how gutted you were for the Rhinos in the Challenge Cup, Women's Challenge Cup final?
Yeah, everyone wants to make the most of those big occasions with a victory as well. But they tried hard, and as I said to Lois, like she should be very proud of her work and the club's work to get to that point, not just this season, but the work that's gone into that over years to raise the women's game and to get to that opportunity at Wembley is something they'll always remember. Whilst being disappointed short term, it'll be a great memory long term, I think, and I hope for them.
And a bit later in the day, did you feel for Luke Hooley with that touchline conversion?
Yeah, we nailed the other one from the sideline not too long before that to keep him in it, and he had a strong game. And I think most goal kickers, even two off the paint, opposite sidelines, one from two there is probably about career percentage wise for the majority of goal kickers. So yeah, I felt for him. He gave it a good nudge, and Batley probably just left it a bit late in the end.
And it was a nice gesture to allow him to play as well, wasn't it?
Well, in the end, I didn't really see it as a gesture. I know Luke really wanted to play, and obviously Batley wanted him to play, but we contemplated it a lot and had some good conversations with Luke, and I felt it was, and he did, and I did, and a few others around the club felt it was a good opportunity for him to have another tough game of footy under pressure in the spotlight. All of that is good experience for a young bloke, and given, as I've mentioned before, the disrupted season that he's had, it was a good opportunity for him, and he made a very good account of himself, and it was a great opportunity for both of those, Halifax and Batley, to be at Wembley. That was a pretty special thing for both of those clubs.
So how have you used the time between the two games then?
We were in early the week last week and sort of debriefed and cleaned up a bit after the weekend's performance, and then the players had a break, and we've got stuck back into some hard work that you get the opportunity to do when you've got a weekend off. So we've got some good work done, and everyone's excited about Sunday. It's a big day at Headingley on Sunday with women's game and also our reserves game, which is going to have a host of young players that we feel are the future of the club. So it's going to be a good day. It's Old Boys Day and Family Day, and so there's going to be a great occasion for us.
We won't see the first team squad until tomorrow. Are there any possibility for any notable changes?
Harry Newman will be back. Fussatua will be back into the picture. He's just finishing off his return to play from the concussion. But Harry will be the most notable one there.
What does it mean to you to have him back at this stage?
Yeah, it's a boost for everyone. He's an infectious character. He's got great energy, great spirit. He plays hard. He's very competitive, and he wants to win. Boys like playing with him. So it's a good thing for us to have him back.
Is he right on schedule or just ahead of where you thought he might be in terms of returning?
I think it's bang on. Pretty sure it was a 12-week type time frame, and I think we're on 12 weeks. But more than that estimated return date, he's gone through the process, and he's trained really hard and full training the last couple of weeks. So he's got some work under his belt, and he's come through with flying colours.
How much do you feel you've missed him?
It's hard to say. Harry's missed a lot of footy over the last couple of years. So we've played some very good footy with him, and some very good, and we've played some good footy without him. So it's hard to put a gauge on that, but certainly you want your best players available, and Harry's one of them.
What's your gauge on the Wolves then at the moment?
We know what their threats are and their strengths as a team. I'm not reflecting on results or whatnot. They've had some tight, hard games of late that they could have easily won. So looking at the result doesn't serve us well. We're looking at who they are and what they are as a team, and their strengths are across the board. And we've had a good hard game with them a few weeks back. Doesn't feel like too long ago. So we're expecting more of the same. We're going to have to be a bit better than we have been, but we've been there or thereabouts. In pretty much all of our games over a long period of time now.
What were your thoughts on the appointment of Sam Burgess? Did you see that one coming?
Yeah, I don't know Sam too much other than to say g'day to a few times. So, yeah, congratulations to Sam for taking that step forward as a head coach. But I, hadn't given it any thought about who might get that, or haven't given it a thought since. But I'm sure Sam will do well. He's a well-respected person in the game. So, next year he can. Yeah, give it a good shot, and it'd be good to come up against him and maybe get to know him a bit more.
Obviously, it'll be his first head coach's job in Super League, as it was yours not that long ago. What advice would you give anyone who's dipping their toe into Super League in that respect for the first time, having been in that seat for a while now?
Yeah, I think all coaches, need to decide whether they think the head coaching job is the thing, or the more pure coaching side of things is to stay as an assistant and not have to deal with a lot of the other things that happen. So, I think the thing that all head coaches realise is that lots of things take up your time other than X's and O's or picking the team.
It sounded like you were warding people off there for a moment. You're not though, are you?
Well, if you've got aspirations to do it, you've got to go for it. And I think a lot of coaches find out whether it's for them once they get into their first job. And, sometimes you have some good times early in your head coaching career and you can think it's, pretty comfy. But the reality of it is you find out whether you really enjoy the job when you have some tough times. And that's more what head coaching is about, is the tough times.
Just lastly, obviously, despite the loss last time, you're still very much in the playoff picture with 6 games remaining. Have you got a gauge of what might be needed between now and the end of the season to make the 6?
A bunch of wins are going to be needed. I'd imagine generally if you end up with more wins than losses, you generally make the playoffs. So that's probably the gauge to aim for. But it's just got to start with one on Sunday. There's no two ways about that.
Are you treating this week as a must-win game, based on what you just said then?
I treat every game like a must-win game, and I encourage the players to do the same. Of course, when the season or the scoreboard pressure or the ladder pressure adds to it, for sure people can add a bit more importance to it, but every win is a must-win for me.
Has the break between games helped you, do you think, after the disappointment against Leeds of the result?
Well, it's just one of those things. It was already scheduled, so I don't know. I think it's done us a good job as far as being able to freshen up and have a little break and really attack these last 6 weeks. 6 weeks back to back at the end of a season is a difficult thing. And, maybe some of the clubs that went deep into the Challenge Cup, into the semis or the finals, won't have had much of a break. So there could be an advantage there. But, it's all about Sunday for us. It's been a good freshen up and we've got some good work done. So that's our target is Sunday at home.
You still see Wakefield as a good team, despite I think they've lost the last 7 league and cup games. Does that surprise you a little bit? They had such a good start to the year.
I respect every opposition that we come up against. Warrington have performed. They've played some good footy. I'm not going to judge their performances other than looking at what they're good at and what their threats are. Their own standards are up to them, but they've had a few performances of late where the result could have easily gone the other way. So we're focused on combating their strengths and attacking them with ours.
That's a bit like you, isn't it? You've been in so many close games. I think there've been 2 1-pointers in the last 3 home games, and most of your games have been decided by, or most of your defeats have been decided by a converted try or less.
Yeah, I feel all of our games, bar round 1, we've been well and truly in the game, which shows the level of sort of consistency to a point and a level of competitiveness. we're striving to find a bit more in the execution stakes and find a way to grind out some more of those close games and find a way to be on the positive end of it.
Is it more frustrating because you've been in so many games and been so close to the result so often?
Oh, I'd much rather be in every game and battling for it than getting beaten comfortably and having to lick your wounds that way. So, of course, at some stages we've felt like we've perhaps earned a victory, but we haven't executed enough for the scoreboard to say the same thing. So we've tried to take some learns out of it. Everyone's been very disappointed at times with the outcomes, but mostly the effort and the intent has been there. But executing in those critical moments has probably been our area that we need to brush up on.
You mentioned Harry coming back. Is Morgan Gannon available this week?
He's close, Gano. He's still got a little bit to tick off before we make a decision on whether he's in the 21 or not. And
Justin Sangari obviously got injured in the last game. I think when we spoke to you after that, it was a suspected plantar fascia. Has that been confirmed? And do you know how long he's looking at being out for?
That'll be the season for Justin with that injury. He won't recover in time to get enough training under his belt to play a game.
That's obviously disappointing for him and for you.
Yeah, certainly he's had a pretty solid start to his life in England. It's been a big move for a young bloke from the south of France to come over here and take that leap. He's learned a lot. He's contributed well, and just got a good base, I think, for more to come in the years to follow.
Is there any update on Richie Myler's injury?
He's had a follow-up X-ray in the last few days, and things are healing well, which is good, and that's the priority at this stage, is to focus on the healing, and then we'll recheck in another few weeks or a month or so and see if there's any chance of the back end. But most likely he's done for the year as well.
And sorry, last one on injuries. Zane Tetevano, any closer to perhaps getting a game or two in before the end of the season?
He's still got some medical things to get through before he can contemplate sort of full training or anything like that. So we'll work through that and update as when we have one.
I suppose, Rohan, first of all, do you think fans are maybe fretting a bit too early? You're only 4 points off the top 6, and we all know last year your run in the tail end of the season, you wound up in the grand final. Do you think there's a bit of unnecessary panic at the moment in terms of the supporters base?
We'd all pictured and envisaged having at least a few more wins under our belt at this point in time. So it's understandable that people might be a bit frustrated or agitated or whatever. But we're very focused on chasing it, and we've still got plenty of running in our legs, and we're ready to have a crack on Sunday and take a step forward and keep the dream alive, really.
Yeah, and for James Donaldson, a personal milestone achieved in terms of Leeds Rhinos, 100 appearances there recently. And I suppose he's going to have a big factor for you in terms of that running.
Yeah, Dono's had probably a little bit of a frustrating season for him at times. He hasn't been in the team, so he's fresh. He's got a lot to contribute. He hasn't got a lot of time under his belt this season particularly. So he's played of recent times and done us a tidy job, and he's got plenty of running left in him for this year for sure.
And obviously massive news with the return of Harry Newman, and it almost feels like one has come in and then another has gone out, really. Blake Austin has joined Castleford Tigers. Was that a difficult decision for you? Obviously Blake going to Castleford, or obviously with Harry Newman, did that sort of coming back, did that make that decision that bit easier?
Well, they play different positions, so that wasn't a factor. That was a decision made outside. Blake had made an approach to us to do that. I think what's been said is enough for this point in time. We're focused on who is here, and Sunday against Warrington.
I suppose Warrington, we mentioned their run of form and how close they've been to getting the win, but obviously defeats stack up and confidence gets brittle as they keep going on and they start to run they're on at the moment. And how important is going to be the first score in this game? Obviously, you've been very close. You're three games on the bounce. They're 7 on the bounce. The first score for confidence, for nerves, for settling into the game. The first try, is that going to be pivotal this weekend, just so a team can relax and find their feet?
Yeah, I think no matter where your form's at, you always want to get that first score, and it's something that I think most teams talk about, just working their way for as long as needed to get that first score. So yeah, something that we will certainly be striving to do, and we'll be looking to play a good style and a very competitive start and come out flying as best we can to try and get that first score and the second one too.
And Rohan, you mentioned there you would like to have 1 or 2 more wins on the board lastly, but you still feel that you, with only 4 points off the top 6, that you're in a good place to strike. But is it really time is started ticking? You can't afford any unnecessary slip-ups from here on in?
Well, it's certainly no time like the present, and we're going to have to rely on some things going our way maybe, but I think with 6 games left, good performances and enough results there will take care of himself. But as I said, it has to get started on Sunday.
Obviously, this Sunday's game is now on our league. Just a quick one. Early this season, I think it was, the reports were saying that games in our league are sort of a test, if you like, for all games to have video refs at them. Obviously, over in the NRL, that's a thing with the bunker. Just how positive a move would that be for that to come into Super League?
Yeah, I'd say it's a. So does that mean we've got video ref this weekend?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. But I remember I wrote an article earlier this season. They were sort of looking into it.
Okay, yeah, I've never had any correspondence about that, but if that's the case, it's a good thing. I think any competition that's professional needs to have at least some level of replay facility for key moments to, just at least minimise the risk of the howler that might cost a team. I think that's a positive step.
Positive step for officials as well. Obviously, we've seen in recent weeks some of the officials get a little bit more stick than maybe usual.
I'm not aware of criticism other than some of the decisions that I've seen in the video ref this year. Sometimes it's difficult to see if there's been enough evidence to overturn.
You've been linked with Rowan Milnes from Hull KR recently. Any word on that?
There's been no. I've not spoken to Rowan other than saying hello to him at pre-season trial game, and I said congratulations to him after they beat us the other week. He's a player I've known for a long time. He was in the Bradford system when I was there. Good player. We're in the market for halves, and we're talking to people throughout the world of rugby league.